What's up, everybody?
Are we on here?
Testing.
Okay.
Whoops. Thought I switched. There we go. What's up, everybody? Sorry it's taken a minute to kind of get started here. Yes, thank you, I know. Okay, that one can go off. I don't need that one. All right. Hey there, hi there, ho there. So I've got a bunch of stuff to do out here, and I thought that actually doing a live stream would help me get it done because I'm wildly unmotivated otherwise. So figured we'd just do an impromptu stream here. Might even drill a bowling ball. Drink selection for tonight is Liquid Death Grim Leafer. It is black tea and agave with no sugar, so I like it quite a bit. Very little sugar. Agave nectar. It's very tasty. So what I've got here is I kind of sort of tweaked my fit. I didn't necessarily refit myself, but I tweaked my fit. So the way that I've been doing it before is I use smaller grips, and I really buzzed out the crap of the, I really buzzed out the finger holes to more form fit my fingers, because you know what fits at the knuckle doesn't fit down at the tip here. So I don't like it being snug up here and kind of swimming down here. And so I would use smaller grips and just really buzz out the top of the finger hole so that it would fit throughout the length of my finger. The problem is that kind of simulated a whole bunch of extra reverse that I didn't actually want. And so it kind of contributed to me feeling like I was losing the ball and not quite catching it at the bottom. And as I've continued to bowl, my hand's gotten a little bit bigger just with use. And so I really had to buzz the finger holes out a whole lot more than I used to. And so that was just kind of making the problem worse. So what I've been doing is plugging the fingers, just pitch plugging them so that I could drill them back out. I went a size up on grips so that I don't have to buzz near as much out, so that I have more of an edge so that I can catch it. And I dropped the 16th off my span because of the fingers being too big or simulating a little bit of reverse. I had to lengthen the span to make it feel right. But going back to making the fingers fit better, since I didn't have that much reverse, or it changed my hand position on the ball a little bit, it made the span a little bit too long, and so I needed to kind of do both at the same time. So what I've been doing is plugging fingers, just pitch plugging fingers and re-slugging thumbs to kind of dial that back in. My thumb is small enough that I can just drill one slug out and put the next one back in and be fine. So having a hard time saying those. That's one of those. Yeah, say that 10 times fast. Liquid Death Grim Leafer. So it's either Liquid Death Grim Reaper or Liquid Death Grim Reaper or something or other. It's just Liquid Death Grim Leafer. For whatever reason, it's a tongue twister. The peach flavor is really good too. Yes, I've got the armless Palmer, and I've got that one. I don't have the peach right now because I drank it all. So yes. So I can only get 50 games max out of the phase 2. I've tried to resurface it, but no luck. Yeah, like John Lander said in there, have them detox it because resurfacing will only fix it for a game and a half or whatever. So you need to get the oil back up out of the ball. That will help tremendously. So what I've got here, what I've had sitting on my workbench for probably literally a month. Actually, this one's probably been sitting up here for a month and a half. I've got my UC3. We're going to Tulsa soon, and it really looked good at the team house last year, and so I think this definitely has to go to the Greater Tulsa Open. The Night Road has been out of my bag for too long. It's a really nice shape. I like the way that this ball reacts, and so I just need to get it back in the rotation. It just hasn't been in there because, you know, it doesn't fit. Same thing with my Zen U. I haven't needed to use it quite as much, but it also might be good in Tulsa. So I want to reslug that. I've got my Absolute here to put a finger hole back in and reslug. I've got my Reality Check. I've got my Nova, which is not going to see a whole lot of action on a house shot, but it's really, really good for tough stuff. And we've got a few sweepers coming up over the next couple months, and so I do need to reslug and put fingers back in some of these. I might also drill a new bowling ball here. The Hyped Hybrid, I think, is one that I really liked when I had before, so I found another one. And I think because of the unique combination of how heavy it rolls, but how clean the cover stock is, I think that might also work really well in Tulsa and just at League in general. So if we have time, I might put holes in that one. But I'm going to get into it and ask any manner of questions that you want. I'll answer anything. So Angela said Liquid Death Wiz Khalifa. Interesting. Yeah, why finish working for the day when I get distracted by a Luke stream? Heck yeah. How about a video on your sweet release? My release, I think I've mentioned this to you before, my release looks worse and worse the slower you make it go. But there's really not a whole lot to it. I try to stay inside of it and just, you know, get through it and pop my hand open. So, I mean, this would be about the slow motion. I try to get inside of it, project it, and do that. Sometimes I end up getting on the outside of it, and that's when I, you know, elbow it or tug it or whatever. But the intent is to try to stay inside of it, feed it, you know, get my arm swing going at my target, and then ease out of it and just project, kind of fade the ball at my target. And then let the friction and the ball strength walk it back up to the pocket rather than trying to make it hook. Just kind of put it into the friction and let it do its magic. See, I'll let the doggo puppers back in. Hi, puppies. At least open the door. After getting some games on the Summit, how do you feel about it? Debating on having that be the next ball to take a spot in my arsenal. So I've got my last two report card videos are the Duo and the Summit, and I'm giving the Summit a 10 on the report card videos. So if that tells you anything. It was really tricky getting it to work because it looked fantastic on the test pattern, but that's a couple feet longer and it's a few mils heavier on volume. And that's kind of my problem with a lot of this stuff is it looks really great on the test pattern and then I go to try to throw it in League and it's just too strong. And the Summit, it rolled so good. Even on the house shot, it rolled good, but it just didn't quite fit. I either couldn't get it down the lane or I couldn't get it to finish. If I actually put a good roll on it, it was too strong. And if I got it down the lane, then it was a little too slow. And so it just never quite worked. So I'd put it away for a month and then I'd bring it back out and it just wasn't quite it. And then I'd put it away and then I'm like, this is just too good to get rid of. And so I was planning on keeping it around for tougher stuff anyway. But one time I thought, you know what? I'm not really great at throwing the ball hard anyway, and so I'm just going to move an arrow deeper and just kind of fade it. And that seemed to be the magic. I fed it more oil, and it likes angle a lot better than you would think it does because of how smooth it is. I didn't think it was going to be able to get back, but that's what made it work. And now that I've got the feel down with it, I can throw it virtually anywhere on anything, and it just for all the marketing nonsense about it carries, the AI core carries the off hits better. It actually does. I'm gonna just chug the Kool-Aid on that one because I'm throwing the ball pretty decent. Over the last couple months, something clicked and I figured something out, and so I'm throwing the ball good. But my average with that ball is significantly higher than it is with any other ball that I've thrown in the last couple months when I've been throwing it well, and I don't throw that ball any different or any better than any of the other balls. It's just when that ball hits the pocket, they go down a lot more often than not. Or they go down a lot more often than they do with any other ball. And if I try to start with another ball, then I end up in that ball anyway and wish that I would have been in it to begin with. So I'd have a hard time not recommending that ball to everybody. Even James has kind of said that he's gotten away from, that's why he hasn't been in a whole lot of videos recently, is because the storm stuff, just the covers don't really fit for him. They're either too clean or they're too early, or the surfaces don't, you just can't get matched up as well as you can with Brunswick stuff or B7 stuff. But this one he's really interested in because it doesn't roll like a storm ball, so to speak. And so that's one that, he's liked some of the storm stuff, but it just doesn't really match up. He has a hard time trusting the covers, but this one's looks so good that he thinks he's going to get one of those too. So I'd have a hard time not recommending that to virtually anybody. Let's see. If possible, can you show common places to blister and the causes behind them, specifically interested the left side of the thumb knuckle as a righty? So, okay, so it'd be the left side of the thumb knuckle. That would be, generally, you pitch or angle the hole in the direction of the rubbing. And so if you're rubbing on that side, you've probably either got a little bit too much reverse or you've got too much left pitch. And so when you're coming out of the hole, you're constantly rubbing on that side. So I'd say that you need to get rid of a little bit of left pitch or reverse pitch. You may or may not have left pitch, but you might need to get rid of a little bit of the reverse pitch. Or possibly even add a little bit of right, depending on how you come out of the ball. I generally don't recommend right pitch for a righty or left pitch for a lefty, because the thumb, the hand looks like this. The hand's not bent like this, but there are some very unique cases where people actually hold the ball a different way. So it might be necessary for you to actually do that. Have you ever had a customer with a Sarge grip? Yes. Any tips on pitches and maybe bridge width? I keep the bridge width the same, but because the finger, so I keep it just 1/4 of an inch basically. But since the finger is dropped, it automatically creates a lot wider bridge. Typically that finger I pitch at 0 because there's nothing, it's basically just an extra hole for the finger to go into. It's just a conventional hole for the finger to go into, but since most people have a little bit of reverse in their middle finger, and since it is fingertip, typically on a conventional ball you would go with forward pitch to help people hang on to it, but I don't want to have a forward pitched ring finger and a reverse pitch middle finger, because then the angles just don't work out there. So I generally pitch it at 0, maybe even a 1/16 or an 1/8, depending on how much. Like if you've got a 1/2 inch reverse in your finger, in your middle finger, probably an 1/8 to 1/4 reverse in your ring finger too. But generally I just go with the same lateral pitches. So if you're 3/8 left in the middle finger, I go 3/8 right in the ring finger. Just keep it an inch or a 1/4 of an inch bridge, and just because of the finger, the differences in where you drill the finger to, it's going to create a big enough bridge so that you don't have to worry about it. No Fate for Tulsa. I am taking the Fate to Tulsa because if I do need something kind of in between there, I'm taking the Ruby, and that's why I'm debating taking the Hyped Hybrid, because I think the Ruby is going to be fine. I'm also taking my Tour Dynamics, which is kind of on top of the Hyped Hybrid, is the other thing. So as odd as that may seem or sound, so I'm probably not going to put hole. I already have plenty of stuff. I don't need to put holes in another ball. So probably I'm going to take the Ruby. I'm going to take the Fate. I'm going to take the Tour Dynamics. I'm going to take the Volt Pearl and probably the UC3 or my Zen Gold label. I really don't think I need something that strong. If I need to put something or surface on something for Broken Arrow, I can put the Tour Dynamics it can do whatever I want it to do. Basically, that's my kind of catch-all ball. The Ruby and the Fate would be either house. The Ruby is kind of specifically for Broken Arrow. The TDX with Shine on it would be for Andy B's. Because the Team House always just hooks. It just hooks. Broken Arrow, I have no idea what's going to happen. It's conditional based on what weekend you bowl, what end of the house you bowl on, whatever else. So it's kind of rough. I started a bowling towel brand, Strike Club, and was wondering if you'd be open to feature our towels on your videos, guaranteed the best bowling towels. That's a little bit of a problem. I could probably show them off, but since Storm has towels, I have a clause in my contract where I have to feature, if they make it, so Storm makes plenty of towels, and so I need to use their brand of towels. I could try to get away with it. They may or may not say anything to me, but they make chamois and all kinds of other stuff, and so me trying to sell somebody else's, I can get away with the scarred prints, the ball cups, and this stuff because Storm doesn't make anything like this, so I can get away with these. They make general regular ball cups, but I don't like those, so I'm just going to go ahead and talk about these anyway. And again, they don't make anything like these, so I'm free to talk about them, promote them. I would definitely be open to checking them out and giving you feedback and possibly promoting them in my Discord anyway. So, is Angel excited for the new Belmo ball, The Journey? Yeah, we're both. We're both excited for The Journey because it's the Pearl version of the Phase 2 cover stock, so it's TX16 Pearl. And it's still the F8 core, so it's the core from the Fate, but it's the Pearl version of the Phase 2 cover, and so I'm kind of excited for that because I actually have the hybrid version of the Phase 2 and the Phase grip. It's got TX16 hybrid on it, and I really like that ball, so I'm looking forward to that. Can we talk about the Absolute and where it fits and what it actually does? Like the TNT, I'm about done with it. The Absolute is a little bit of a cover core mismatch because it's got a really weak cover and a pretty strong core. I think what it's best at is garbage time almost. James shot 280 or 279 or 260 something, whatever else, the last game of team at Nationals this year with his Absolute, fading fifth arrow. It does need a consistent, predictable amount of friction to be able to throw it. The problem is that when it does have friction, it's asymmetric and it's responsive, and so it flies. It goes from kind of being wiggly to absolutely flying. So I think it really likes a bunch of angle. This is another one of those that I'm like, it's so close to being good that I need to give it another shot or keep working with it, figure out what it does. So I really think that it's good in garbage time or when you get on friction and you need to be able to fade fourth, fifth arrow and still have it tip, still have it go through the pins right. I don't think it's a fresh condition ball. I think it's a little too I think it's a little too responsive for that. So what I think is probably the best is to take a 2000 pad to it or get a strong 2000 finish on it and just go throw it until it lane shines, and then use it on super dry conditions or in garbage time when you have to play 4th or 5th arrow. I think that's what it's best at. I'm not sure it's ever going to be good for me as a lefty, but I think it's not one of those that, it's not exactly an astrophysics, unfortunately. So I promise I will actually start doing something. Yeah. My roll is so forward though, but I've been thinking about P2 versus Summit. If your roll is forward, I would probably go with the Summit because it tends to kind of picks up and keeps walking up. The phase 2 is directional, so it wants to hook in the direction you hook the ball. So if you already get kind of up the back of it or you have a somewhat forward roll, the phase 2 is going to be hook stop. Infinite Physics at 3K is my first ball out for League. It gets forward by the end of the game, considering getting the VBO, which is the blackout for ball 2. Curious how VBO compares to my RSTX2. The VBO is longer and sharper than the Infinite Physics, but it's fairly on top of it from a hook potential standpoint. It acts like an X2, but it's like an arrow stronger. So it reacts like an RSTX2. It's got the same shape. It's got this virtually everything like the X2. It's just an arrow stronger. So it's a step up from the X2. It's not quite Infinite Physics step up, but it's close. Thoughts on when it's best to shine up a strong ASIM like a Reality versus switching to a strong Pearl? That really depends on shape. That really depends on how that ball actually shapes and how it shapes with shine or surface on it. The Reality is clean and sharp enough that if you put some shine on it, it's actually a little bit more stable than a shiny hybrid, shiny Pearl of that same, formula. So if you had like an Altered Reality versus a Reality, I would say that a shiny Reality, if you need that type of look, is probably a little bit better so that it's less jerky. It's not as sharp as like an Altered Reality. It's basically for when you still need blend. If you have plenty of room left to right on the lane where you have miss room, that's when you can afford to go with a more angular ball. If it's a little bit tighter but you still need some shape, then that's when you would shine up. That's when you would, if you need the control, but you also need a little bit more shape, that's when you would shine up a stronger solid ball. So it really depends on how much area you have to work with. The more responsive stuff is generally less forgiving. So again, if you have forgiveness, then that's when you can throw that stuff. If you can miss a couple boards in or a couple boards out, then go for the most responsive ball that you can find because you're going to have miss room. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. I think I've caught up. Yeah, I've had the best look with my absolute in later blocks. Yeah, same as James, definitely playing inside on longer patterns when I know the track area has been burned up enough. So yeah, you have to have consistent, predictable friction. What's the best way to reach out so you can send you some towels? Send me a message on Facebook Messenger. That'd be the easiest way to take care of it. I can get you my address and we can chat. How do you see the exponent in the lineup? I did like the C4, but would have liked the cover a bit stronger. The exponent is basically a C4. I don't think the cover is basically R2S. So it's basically the cover that was on the Honey Badger Intensity. It's basically the Hype Solid cover, the Tour Dynamics cover, the IQ Tour cover. That's basically what it is. So if you want a little bit stronger The TNT would probably be it. That one's a little niche though. It's early and very strong and heavy rolling, but the cover wants to be clean and sharp, and so it can give you some issues. I would almost recommend going with a Tour Dynamics over an Exponent, because that little bit of asymmetric torque makes up for what the cover doesn't exactly do. And so the Tour Dynamics is a little stronger than the Exponent. The cover isn't more diggy, or it's not stronger necessarily, but the ball overall creates more hook than the Exponent does, especially down lane. The Exponent, as it shines, tends to get a little kind of blah. The Tour Dynamics has that just a little bit of asymmetric torque to help it actually do something. So that might actually be the ball that you want to get. How close are Microtrax Pearl and REX Pearl? They're kind of close. Microtrax is technically the weaker cover, but it's a whole lot earlier of a cover. REX is pretty clean and sharp for how much it actually hooks, and I think that's one of the things that kind of tricks people. When you throw a Virtual Energy Blackout or a Fate or whatever else, they look like they're fairly tame and even, but then they end up just hooking too much somehow, even though they look clean and sharp. Microtrax is just more obvious traction. It's going to dig and it's going to shape some, but it's just going to hook. It's a whole lot more obvious about what it's doing. So Microtrax, REX is a little bit stronger, but Microtrax is more obviously strong. It's earlier. It's more visibly strong, I guess. So anyhow, I'm gonna go ahead and get to some stuff. By all means, keep asking questions. I always thought a fresh house pattern would be similar to their most oily test conditions, but your comment on another video has me questioning that. Please discuss which profile of fresh TH. Yeah, a fresh house pattern is about the least amount of oil that you can get on anything. You're not gonna have a pattern that's less volume than a house shot. They're typically very dry because not everybody... What are you doing, Buck? Regular league bowlers typically don't have a very high rev rate. They don't throw it very fast, and so plus not putting as much oil on the lane saves the house money. And so house patterns typically are very, very low volume. They're typically the least amount of volume that you're going to run into. Since I'm a GTO this weekend, I'll report back. Sweet. I was talking to somebody else earlier that's going to GTO next weekend. Again, Andy B's is fairly predictable. Broken Arrow is the one that's like, I don't know. And it's completely different on the left side versus the right side. Andy B's is identical, left to right. It's just dry, the ball hooks. Do the same things on the left side that you do on the right. Broken Arrow is significantly more difficult on the left side of the lane than it is on the right. And it's not a whole lot of fun on the right. So, can you share some initial thoughts on the TNT infused? I wish they wouldn't have used that cover because it wasn't strong enough in solid form to keep up with what that core wants to do. And so now in hybrid form, especially polished, the cover is going to want to be even cleaner and even sharper when the core wants to just dig in and grind to a halt and roll at your feet right now. So the core wants to be early and smooth. The cover wants to be long and flippy. I don't see it being very good. It might surprise me, but I don't think that we're getting them anyway. I think that they just kind of, I haven't seen the Magic Gem or the TNT infused yet, so I don't know if it's a computer glitch or what, but I don't even think that we're going to get them. So there's already some reviews out. I think Mikey Tang's got a review out. I know Luis put his up yesterday or day before or something like that. He's put his up fairly recently. So there should be a whole lot of Magic and a whole lot of infused videos out there. I will see, Mikey can... Luis has got plenty of friction in Vegas, and Mikey could throw a rock out of the parking lot and make it look good, so that's a little hard to get a judge on. I would say, I think that Stu Williams is one of him, and if you watch Charles Hutcherson from The Hype, I think that they will give you the best overall idea of what you can expect. So I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to start with my Night Road. I'm going to do the Night Road and the Zen U first. I was only going to take 5 balls or 6 balls, I guess. 5 balls plus a spare. I might end up taking another bag to Tulsa just in case, because I don't want to leave my UC3 looked really good at Andy B's last year, and I could imagine my Zen U looking good at either house, and so I really don't want to leave these at home. So I might just throw another 2-ball bag in there and take 8 instead of 6. I'm still kind of somewhat figuring out what to do on the left side of the lane. There's a lot of these tournaments I've only been to a couple times as a lefty, and so I still haven't exactly locked down what I need to take. I have a lot better idea now, but I'm still a little iffy. Now, the fingers fit good enough on this one that I'm going to try to roll with it. If it doesn't work, then I'll just go on ahead and plug them. But there's been a couple balls that, like my Summit, I got the fingers a little tight on to begin with. My Fate, the fingers are okay. My Plastic Ball, the fingers were okay. Some of these I really wallered out pretty good though, so some of them I had to do. But so far the Summit and the Fate have been fine. My IQ Ruby was also fine. So it's an inch and a quarter. This is my inch and a quarter plus, but I don't need that one. So when you're re-slugging something, this is typically fairly easy. All you have to do is kind of generally get it lined up. Getting it lined up at first is the toughest thing. Once you get it square with the hole, then you just have to, you know, hammer down and get the slug out and then pop another one in. It's really fairly simple. It's just you've got to be a little more meticulous lining the hole up to begin with, because while the slug fits fairly snug in the hole, you don't want to get it too far off to begin with, because then the hole might be too big, the slug will be swimming in it, and we just don't want that. So now when you do get it fairly lined up, what you want to do is you want to drill it out as fast as possible. That will actually help keep the hole truer, because the slug is softer than the bowling ball. And so when you drill faster, the slug will the bit will naturally divert off of the hardest material into the softer material. And since the slug is softer, if it is off just a little bit, going faster will make it divert into the slug and will kind of right the ship, so to speak, if it's a little off. So let's see what we got here. Just a little off front to back. Little off side to side too, but I think we might be okay. I think I might just have to drill faster. So let me get y'all closer here. Let's take a peek down in the hole and see what we got here. So you can see I did get a little heavy on the one side of it. And I think there's a little bit of slug left over. There's a little bit of white slug just kind of right there in the bottom of the hole. That's not a problem at all. It actually helps snug it up a little bit if there's a little bit of old slug left in the hole. I don't mind that at all because the slug is generally going to go in pretty easily. The first one goes in really snug. The second one, once you drill one back out, yeah, you see this goes in. It goes in and out pretty easily. Typically, it's snugger than that, but once you get down to that other slug, it's gonna tighten it right up down at the bottom, and so that's gonna be awesome. If I'm reading BTM reviews, that's your first problem is reading BTM reviews. For balls ideal for a stroker on THS, then I should ignore their oil reviews and look at medium or dry. Looked at oil and medium before, but don't, BTM just rates what, I think you probably understand this, but BTM rates, okay, is this ball meant for oily lanes, medium lanes, dry lanes? Yeah, if you're looking for what a ball's going to do on a house shot, then definitely don't look at the oily ratings. Yeah, Storm B28. If I was going to get one, I would have gone with a 5-inch pin because I think I used a 4.5-inch pin on my TNT, and that was just way too. It didn't need that. I actually went with a 5-inch pin on my Summit because that core was so chonky. I just didn't expect the TNT core to be that chonky because it's basically identical to the Axiom core, and I got away with a 4.5-inch pin on that core just fine. So the core in the TNT is significantly chuggier, so I was going to go with a 5-inch pin, but yeah, so you're not getting the TNT or the new gem. They just haven't sent them to me, so I guess not. And I'm not going to go out of my way to get them because the magic is, from what I've heard, it's basically right on top of the gem, which I expected it to be. It looks like it from everything I've seen. It's right on top of the gem. It's going to be way too strong to throw. The infused, nobody cared about the TNT. And especially once they announced the Journey, nobody's going to care about the infused. So I don't think anybody really cared about the infused to begin with, but they're already promoting the Journey overseas. Belmo's already got stuff on his Instagram account and whatever else, and so I would expect, since the TNT infused is still another 3 weeks off, I would expect the Journey to be announced before the TNT infused releases, which is just going to absolutely kill it. So, and I don't think that I would really like it that much anyway, so it would just be a massive waste of time. And so since I haven't gotten them, if I did say, hey, these haven't shown up yet, and if there was a computer glitch or whatever, they'd go on ahead and send them to me, but it might be a blessing in disguise, so I'm just not going to say anything. There's already plenty of videos and stuff out there, and if I did get them right now, I'd be so far behind the curve it wouldn't be worth doing them anyway, especially for a couple balls that we're just not going to be able to throw to begin with. So it'd just be a whole bunch of time and energy wasted, I think. All right, perfect. So what I'm going to do, how I cheat on this, what I should do is I should go on ahead and shave this down and then measure the 1/16 shorter. But the easier way to do this is to this is already centered. So I'm just going to pull this down. I'm going to make a punch mark with my bit. And I'm going to measure a 1/16 forward off of that. And then that's going to be where I need to put the tip of the bit. So this is definitely the lazy way to do it, but it hasn't failed me yet. Watch as this comes out terrible now. Probably going to miss it by something massive. Because it hasn't gone wrong yet, so it does have to go wrong when I'm actually doing it on the stream. So it's probably going to come out terrible. That's fine. I'll just leave that. See how far off I am. It looks okay. Well, I don't have another one up here that's correct, so. I think it's okay. Where's my summit? This one's actually right. Where did I just put that now? That's annoying. Oh, okay. No. 4.5 plus is what I'm shooting for. That's 4.5. So I missed. I'm a 64th short. Type F in the chat. Failure. But yeah, that's not a problem. Most people can't feel a 16th, let alone an 8th. I'm sure I can feel a 64th just because I know it's a 64th short, but it feels great actually. So, all right, next one. Those fingers feel fine. Those fingers feel really good actually. So, yeah, okay, you can still see me. Zen U. This ball has been discontinued. I don't know why, because it's our purple hammer. I just do not understand why people didn't catch on to this, because Storm has done like purple hammer type urethane so bad for so many years, and this one is finally perfect, and nobody liked it, and I just don't understand. So whatever, I got a few extras because I figured that it didn't seem like it was very popular. It didn't seem like people were buying it, so. Close. Where's my little, here it is. I know, Mistle. Sounds like a fly. Missiles are fly catcher. We haven't had to use a fly swatter in years now because you're so good at it, aren't you? Once again, what I do with the slugs is the direction I'm going to put them. They're square on either end, and so I take a, I don't know if you can really see that or not, but I round the bottom off so that the glue can actually get between the slug and the side of the ball, because if you leave it, you know, with this edge on it, it scrapes all the glue off the side of the hole, and it makes it more prone to getting stuck too. So, and then all I do is just kind of recreate the vent slit there so that the air can get out. How'd your Fate you plugged end up coming out? I didn't think I had enough. I plugged the thumb, and I didn't think I was going to have enough plug for the fingers, but I was able to get enough out. It needs to sit another day, but I think we're in good shape. I haven't shaved the grain down on the thumb yet, but that's going to be really good. And then the fingers look freaking amazing. So I think this is going to come out really good. Once I get that grain shaved down and then get everything resurfaced, I think we're in good shape there. So I should be able to finish that up either tomorrow or Thursday. Probably Thursday because I'm lazy. Yeah, but if they show up because of magic, you'll put holes in them. if they show up, I'm kind of obligated to make reviews for them, but I won't be happy about it at all at this point. It's just way too late to even worry about it, especially because I'm not going to end up getting anything out of them. With how much you like the DNA or looking forward to the DNA coil, oh yes, very much. Yeah, the DNA coil is stateside. That's already been confirmed. I'm really, really looking forward to that, and I think that that will solve the DNA problem for a lot of people. However, I think it's going to be really close to the virtual energy blackout because those cores act really similar and that cover is significantly cleaner and faster than it's supposed to be. So I think that and the blackout are going to be pretty close to each other, or it's going to be close to the eternity, or I think there's going to be some overlap with some stuff, but I'm excited for it. So my guess is it was kind of hard to swallow the $175 price tag. Yeah, that's the other thing is that, and that's why the Fate was discontinued too, actually, because it's a symmetric ball, but the Belmo logo on it makes it cost $25 more. So I think it's just, if it was priced like an IQ Tour or an IQ Ruby or something like, or any of the other symmetric balls, TNT, if it was $165 instead of $200, I think that a whole lot more people would have bought it, but it's just the price tag, I think, kept it out of a lot of people's hands. I'm not liking my Summit. I get a lot of over-under with it. It really grabs off the dry, and see, that's the problem that I had with it too, is it was very, very over-under on me. The way that I fixed that is that I moved an arrow deeper, I fed it more oil, and I got a lot softer with my hand. I just kind of flipped it out there, or just kind of softly floated it out there and let the ball pick up and do the work, because it is significantly stronger and earlier than it really acts like it is. And so that was the thing, is I moved a little deeper and I got softer with my hand and let the ball do the work, and it just, everything completely changed. So that was my problem too, is that it reacted amazing on the test pattern, but then once I got on a house pattern, didn't have quite that much oil, then I ran into problems, and it really pissed me off because it was so good on the test pattern that I was really looking for. I thought, well, this is the ball. You know, I've been looking for something on the left side to help blend the lane better than what I had, because everything either seems to be too smooth or too fast. I haven't found that magic in between. If it's smooth enough, it's too early, and if it's long enough, it's too fast. I haven't found that balance, and the Summit finally gave me that balance, but it took me a minute to find it. So I'd love to know what Angel is taking to Tulsa. I'm not sure she knows yet. She has about 20 different balls that she kind of rotates in and out. We know that we need to take stuff that doesn't hook a whole lot, so I imagine that her Hustle USA is going, her Hustle Hunter, possibly her Torrent Rush. But not very strong stuff at all. And again, she's got about 20 that she rotates through fairly consistently. So she doesn't really have like a, people want to know what's in her bag. Well, she has 20 different balls that are in consideration at any time. She kind of just picks different stuff on different nights. Hi, baby miss. What are you doing? All right. All right, let's see. Oops. Had it all set up. Now I need to fix it. Pitch is kind of important. Got that one just a little heavy on the left side too, but again, it's not that big of a problem. This should go in fairly easy and snug up right there. That's perfect. Oops. And then once again, you never want to glue up in the cover stock. That's what causes the spider cracking around the top of the holes. That's also what contributes to cracking fingers out. So never ever glue up in the cover stock, because the glue kind of acts like water in concrete. It expands and contracts at a different rate than the ball does, and so it gets in the pores. The filler material, or the outer core, is a whole lot more porous it's a whole lot lighter than the cover stock material is. The cover stock's denser. And so when the glue gets into the pores of the cover stock expands and contracts at a different rate due to hot and cold than the glue does. And so the glue tends to start breaking up the cover stock. It creates a weak point, and so the ball can either crack all the way around or cause that circular kind of spider cracking around the holes that you might see around thumb hole or the finger holes. So it's a bad thing. And it's really easy to prevent if you just do it right. So we're going to try this again. Right there. Just kind of use the edge of this, the edge of the ruler to score where I want it. And that is perfect. So this is what it's called when the router bit is at the perfect sharpness zone. Because when a router bit is perfectly sharp, it just cuts everything. When it gets too dull, you end up not getting the slug flush with the ball. What happens here is that you can see the mark from the router bit, but this is like perfectly flush on the ball. So this is perfect. So it's just that nice zone to where you can get the slug flush without cutting the ball and still get the slug flush, basically. Because if you have to apply too much pressure to get the slug flush, then most of the time it ends up cutting the ball, so it kind of reverts, it kind of reverts to what it was before. So, all right, we'll see if I actually did this one right. Bam. Perfect. All right. I've already redone the slug on the UC3, so I think I'm probably going to pop the finger holes back in that next. So I think this is something I could also use at League. Alright, what do we got here? Out of sparkling water. Out of sparkling water. I guess another liquid death. I need to make a stop and get me some more liquid death because I'm about out. It's about my favorite drink right now. I even like that better than booze. Zen U on the plug use rack, tempting me next to UC3. Heck yeah. They have a Cowboys special at Papa John's. Wonder if it beats up on Caesars but folds against Pizza Hut. Mwahaha. Yeah, the DNA is a good ball. Yes. People just, the marketing really tanked it, I think, because they said, oh, it's basically their strongest ball ever. It's their strongest cover ever. And so people expected it to be stronger than a gem, and it's just not. It does have a lot of traction, and it does roll very strong. It just doesn't slow down. It doesn't chug at all. And so the gem visually hooks quite a bit more than the DNA. The DNA has plenty of traction, and it's very rolly. It's just not early and chuggy. And then it doesn't, like, hook a ton on the back end. But, man, it's good. It is just ridiculously good. Now this one is very simple. When we go to put the fingers back in here, very simple. I just center the bit in the hole and go for it. So nothing terribly complicated here. Wrong bit. There we go. What balls are we doing here? All right, close enough. And far enough to check my centering. Little long. And I do have to bevel this somewhat too, so if I don't exactly perfectly nail it right off the jump, it's not that big of a deal. Because I still do have to bevel the holes a little bit. Now on the ring finger, I will drill down an inch and then switch to a smaller bit because I'm kind of in between on the middle finger, on the ring finger size. The middle finger is perfect to just going ahead and drill all the way down with 31/32 and then put that grip in. But the ring finger, I'm swimming in a little bit. The grip size I used to use is a little too tight, and just the half size down, or the 64th down, I guess, is just a little too big, and so I still do kind of modify this a little bit. Oops. Went just a little bit deeper to make sure I get through the bottom of the plug. You don't necessarily need to, but I just do. And I think I've got a fresh 31/32 bit. That was drilling just a little hard, so I might try to pull out my other 31/32 if I can find it. Is this one fresh? Yep, it's a freshie. Sweet. Always love pulling out a fresh bit. I'll take this one to get sharpened at some point. Got Jayhawk Bowling Supply right down the road, and actually Russ Wilson bowls our league on Thursday, so I can normally just drop stuff off to him on Thursday and then pick it up the following Thursday. So, or if I need a new bit, I can just tell him, hey, could you bring one of these to league with you tonight? I recently got myself an oversized 1.25" bit, which instead of being 1.25, it's 1.255. The turbo slugs fit really, really tight. And so having just the slightly tiny bit bigger bit helps those fit just a little bit better, and it keeps you from having to really throw the hammer down when you go to drop the slug. Take a look at the chat here. Thoughts on the Tour Dynamics after some time with it? It's a little all over the place. Because initially I thought it was a better IQ Tour, and then it's got this thing where weaker covers react a lot more significantly to surface than stronger covers do. Stronger covers, if you sand them, they get stronger. If you polish them, they get a little longer and sharper. They don't necessarily get a ton weaker though. Weaker covers will hook off the planet with surface. And several people have mentioned that Stu Williams has pointed out that the Nova, the original Nova, is one of the strongest balls out there with surface, but as soon as it shines at all, it's a plastic ball. And the Tour Dynamics is very, very strong with surface, and once it shines up, it gets significantly weaker. However, I think that actually kind of works out in its favor. Not for me at sweepers on tough stuff, because the problem is that as the ball shines, if you're right-handed, the lane's going to transition, so they're going to get drier. So the Tour Dynamics moves deep very well. And so if you start with a bunch of surface on it, as the lanes dry up, the ball's going to shine up, and so you can stay in that ball you can stay in weaker covers a whole lot longer. On the left side, I will start on a fresh pair, and I will move to a fresh pair, and then I will move to a fresh pair and move to a fresh pair. And so the Tour Dynamics at a sweeper on tough stuff really only lasts for 2 or 3 games for me before it gets a little too shiny for me to use. But if we stay on the same lanes the entire time, I actually threw it in league the other night, and it looked really good. It looked better than I thought it would, actually. So with a little bit of shine on it, it's kind of the perfect house shot ball. So small caveat, I'm not quite as high on it as I was in the review, but it's still really, really good, and I still think it is a better IQ Tour Solid. It does all the same things that the IQ Tour does. It just also can play 3rd, 4th, 5th arrows, so. All right. This is very easy to line up because I just have to go straight across. I only have a 30-second difference between my spans, my ring to thumb and middle to thumb, and that is made up for by the difference in the grip thickness. So I can drill the holes in the same place, and because the ring finger grip is thicker, that makes up the difference of a 32nd of an inch. So. Of course, I don't know. It's low for what, of course, the original hole might have been in the wrong spot, too. I don't know. That's a little lower than I want it, but I'm just going to go ahead and go with it. Well, no, actually, I need my middle finger is the most important finger for, whoops. The middle finger, I use it the most of any finger. But it's the one that does most of the work on throwing the ball, so. If anything, if it's a little long, that's not a problem. So. All right. All right. Grippy grips. So, going ahead and prep these real quick, and then I'll see what else I want to get into. So, a little bit of water to get the paint off, or the grease pencil off. You don't have to take it off. I just don't like getting it all over my hand. It's not like it's a big deal if you do get it on your hand though. So, this is a very cool thing. This is a cordless bevel sander. This is a corded one, so this one has a little bit more power. This is the key thing for having two bevel sanders is that you can put old sanding discs on one, and you can put a new sanding disc on the other one. And so if you're trying to really take out material, you can use the new sanding disc. And if you're just trying to like bevel, then, you know, my wife doesn't, she likes very, very little bevel. I do have to hit the top of the hole. With a fresh sanding disc, it's very, very hard to just get that little bit of bevel that she wants. But with these old sanding discs, it gives me a whole lot more control over the amount of bevel that I get into something. So typically, I use the cordless on the thumb holes, and I use the corded one on the fingers. So, loud noises. It's very important to bevel the finger holes. This is another thing that really helps prevent cracking. So, what's the matter, puppies? What are you guys doing? What? Oh, hang on. All right, go inside. Hang on just a second. Huh.
Sent you a message on Discord.
I didn't do anything. Okay, well, I guess I checked before. I checked a few minutes ago, or I didn't check a few minutes ago, but hey, you didn't send me anything last time I checked, so. Anyhow. Does side pitch reduce finger calluses? Yes and no. It really depends on, I mean, you are going to have some calluses, but the better the ball fits, the less general issues you're going to have. I mean, you can't really tell which hand I bowl with. My thumbs are the same size. My fingers are the same size. So most people have very pronounced bowling hands. Those are okay. Those, ring fingers, a little tight.
I guess a little bit.
Yeah. Let's see where we're at now. What's my buck?
Talking to the peoples. Have you been talking to the peoples? Yeah. Good job.
Middle finger's still a little tight. Ring finger's fine, I think. Dig. Yeah, I think the ring finger's fine. The middle finger's just a little tight.
Road, another ball that got a, oops, come on, a bad rat perfect ball when you reset the surface.
Yep. I myself grew to quite like it. So these changing pads here. So this is going to take out, this is pretty grippy. So now I should be good to go. All right, yep, I think we're good there now. So I can get those glued in. And so I got my UC3 back, I got my Zen U back, and I got my Night Road back now, so that is cute. Once again, you always want to, now I've got some plug in the holes, so I'm not gonna have to worry about it so much, but I still like having the flexibility. I know, thank you, Buck. I'm telling him. I know. What woof? The door is open, sir. I still like having flexibility at the top of the grip. I really don't like when I see shops glue right at the top of the grip and spread it all out, and so it makes them hard and rigid and just nasty and they feel like crap, or they just cut them off with a razor blade or some kind of nonsense because they can't do their job right. Still want to glue it underneath the cover stock. I like it. So having these flexi tips is also nice because a lot of the time the glue bottle will actually glue itself shut. So you have to keep cutting the tip off and cutting the tip off, or poking it back open with a pin or something like that. But they make these things called flexi tips, which are basically neck extenders. And so you can put you can cut the tip off the glue bottle, put one of these things on, and then just keep cutting the tip of the extender off. And then when you get down too far, you just put another extender on. So. Yep. Now that ball's back in business. That feels good. Did I re-slug this one? Quite feel like I re-slugged this one. Maybe I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah, that one's actually what it's supposed to be, so. Sweet. Night Road. That ring finger may need a little bit of work. We'll see. That feels amazing. So, yeah, I think we're back in business. So, I still have my check, my absolute, and my Nova to do, but there's no real rush on those. These I needed to get back into fighting shape, and it's getting close to bedtime, so I'm probably going ahead and turn it off here. If anybody has any other questions before we get out of here, go ahead and fire away. I can hang out for a few more minutes. Reset all my stuff on the drill press. Everything's loose, that's fixed. I'm going ahead and, I don't want to leave it plugged in. Charge that later. So, got a few things done. I will finish up the Fate tomorrow night, or Thursday, probably tomorrow night, because we have League Thursday. So that looks like that's going to come out amazing. So very happy about that. I will probably not. I made a mistake trying to put a ball back in my bag for the Scratch League last week, and so Normally, when I put stuff back in the bag that hasn't been there for a while or I'm trying new stuff out, I generally use my mixed league on Friday night to try them out first, and then if they show promise or they look like they work out, then I'll take them to the scratch league the next week. So, but I definitely wanted to get the Night Road back in the rotation. And the Zen U is something that I need fairly frequently at tournaments. So, no questions, just thanks for being awesome. Well, thank you too, because you're sending me some stuff. So, Curtis L., what ball were you thinking about drilling? Also, your ball cup is going to be on the way. That I gave you a ball cup like a month and a half ago on one of the shows and still haven't shipped it out, so that's coming your way. Yeah, the Night Road was good on a lot of stuff. Yeah, what ball were you thinking about drilling? The Hyped Hybrid. Because it reacts significantly different than the Pearl and the Solid. It rolls like a Tour Dynamics. It's earlier, it slows down, it's heavier rolling than the other two, but it still has a clean cover, and so it rolls a lot stronger, controls the mid lane a lot better. It's kind of like the difference between, for those of you that have a Hustle M&M and a Hustle Rip, the M&M is so much earlier and chuggier than the Rip, and the Hyped Hybrid is kind of Rip, or kind of M&M-ish, but it's not directional like the M&M. It's one of those arky, continuous type of looks. So, yeah. Yeah, Night Road was good on a lot of stuff from 38 to 44 feet after that initial transition. Yeah, if you got just a little bit of transition on the lanes, it was a little too clean and flippy on the fresh, but once you got a little bit more friction to work with, amazing ball. Just amazing, amazing. It's like a bigger High Road Pearl. It's like a High Road Pearl that you can actually use more often. Do any of your older videos discuss what exactly makes a ball ideal for house conditions so I can watch them? It's house shots, you can throw just about anything. It really depends more on your game than anything else. You can throw all kinds of things on house shots. I throw all kinds of stuff. It really just depends on what matches up the best to your game and what just scores for you. That's basically what the deal is. You'll notice stuff that you end up using more often. Like I tend to like rounder shapes. And so stuff like the Virtual Energy Blackout, virtually anything with REX on it, I like the IQ Ruby, I like the Zen Gold Label, I like a lot of the Hustles, but stuff like the Duo doesn't quite work out for me because it's a little bit more directional. The Phase 2 is a little too directional. So yeah, I tend towards a certain shape and then use hook variations and whatever else to be my differences, but I generally stick within kind of the same shape. And I think you can see just even with the stuff I've got on the table that I'm fixing, the Zen U is a little directional, but not really. It's still kind of a more roundish shape. The Night Road's really round. The UC3 is kind of round and climby. So the clone's in between. It is a little bit more directional, but it's like a bigger Tour Dynamics. And yeah, it's actually really good on the house shot. It's just that I have other stuff that's a little bit better, but I have used it on the house shot. How often do you touch up the surface on your equipment? Not very often. I touch stuff up when I feel like they're lagging a little bit, or when they get a little dinged up, or when they feel like they're getting a little lazy. You can generally tell when stuff is just getting a little blah. So that's when I tend to reset the surfaces. But it doesn't happen very often. So I have the forged flare for heavy oil. I like to find another ball to save my flare. I like control pieces. Any suggestions? The gem is one of the better heavy oil balls out there, I think. Now, it hooks a lot, but it's similar-ish to the flare. And the gem, if you can't get the gem to hook, you just have problems. So the gem is fairly controlled. It has a nice blend of hook and pop. So I would definitely recommend the gem for like a true traditional heavy oil monster that is familiar-ish to the flare. So.
We are getting the other ones.
F in the chat.
They showed up in our cart.
Apparently the magic and the infused finally showed up in our cart on the website, so F in the chat. So I'll have to make videos for those, I suppose. Unfortunately. Huh?
Do we know?
Yeah. They're sending them to us. I guess we have to. It would have been nice if we'd have gotten them at the same time everybody else did, though. Because by the time we get them, and by the time I get a video up, they're going to have the journey and the DNA coil announced. And so nobody's going to care about the magic and the infused anymore. And everybody's already got Magic Gem videos up for the last week, and there's already TNT infused videos going up, and so...
Ours haven't even shipped.
Yeah, ours haven't even shipped yet, so that's awesome. It's very, very helpful.
As your shirt says.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I should probably just shut my mouth at this point. Not happy, Bob. Not happy.
All right. Let me raise this back up.
So.
Bring the puppers in. I'm going to tell everybody bye.
All right. Yep. We're gonna sign off. It's time to go
Tell people bye.
hop into bed, even though it's 8:45. But we've been catching up on MasterChef, and we're only in season 13. So normally we.
actually did finish in 2023.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess we're fairly caught up.
Yeah.
But then we have MasterChef Junior to watch, and they have a new season of Kitchen Nightmares. They have a new season of Hell's Kitchen. So
We're slightly Gordon Ramsay fans.
yeah, we just hop into bed a little early now and watch an episode or two before bed. So thanks, yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out. This was fun to hop on here and do this. Hopefully, I'm going to do this more often. I keep saying that, but it's a lot easier to hop on and do live streams. So. I'm going to do that a little bit more often. I still have these other ones to get to, and so I'll probably hop on. I don't know. Buck.
See the balls?
Hi, Buck. I know the Buck. You can say bye-bye, Buck. Bye-bye, Buck. I know. Everybody just really wants to see you.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. Might do something this weekend, too, and... since I can actually have a drill stream for the magic and the infused, so depending on when they show up.
That's true. That is true.
So if they show up on Friday, Saturday, whatever else, I can have a drill stream since they're already out there and people have already put videos out, and so I can actually drill them on stream. So, yep. Thanks. Can you tell me about the journey? Yes, it's got the Fate, or the F8 core from the Fate, but it's got the Pearl version of the Phase 2 cover, which is technically on paper a little bit weaker than REX that's on the Fate. However, it's a little bit more visibly strong. So while the Fate is fairly clean and blendy, I think the journey is probably going to hook a little bit more. And from what I've seen from Belmo throwing, it's a little bit different shape too. The Fate is very kind of IQ-ish. It's that very round, continuous, like IQ Ruby shape, just stronger. I think the Journey is going to be something more like a weaker version of the Summit. Weaker version of the Summit, or a little bit more stable Duo, something like that. So But I haven't thrown them yet, so I can't speculate. But that's just what it looks like from what I've seen of it. But we'll see what happens.
We'll see
So,
if you get it right.
yeah. So, thanks everybody for hanging out. I do appreciate it. Try to do this a little bit more often. It actually helps me because otherwise this stuff would have just sat here and then I would have needed to try to cram it in before we go to the tournament and I probably wouldn't have gotten it done. And so, yeah. Thanks for the help. I appreciate it. So, see y'all later.